Hello from Gardening at Dwensa in Ireland, and this video is about when you buy a new plant, a new perennial plant, but you want lots of them and how to achieve that. Okay, so I have just bought this wonderful Kniphofia and I want lots of them because I'm going to plant a big border soon, and I would like lots of this orange one near the front. Now, as you can see, it's a low growing Kniphofia and the foliage is particularly good, because with a lot of these the foliage is really bad. So it's something to look out for. Another thing to look out for when buying Kniphofia is very often the flowers start to die off before they open fully at the top, and you get this whole brown effect and then the colour at the top. Now this does it a little bit, but I think it's remarkably clean. So have a look at that one there, so it's a good one to look out for. And the name of this particular variety is Poco Orange. Okay, so I'm going to divide this into lots of plants, so I have lots of Poco Orange in my border. Well, when I bought this plant, what I looked out for was the largest plant possible. So I disregarded how many flowers it has, and so much of the time we buy a plant because of the flowers, but I bought this because it was the largest one. And with that in mind, if we have a look in here, you can see almost already how many divisions I might get out of this single plant. For the time being, what we're going to do is just put it in a jug of water and soak it for a while to just make sure that it's really hydrated before we start to divide it. Okay, so going to leave that for about an hour. And it's now an hour later, and in the interim I've been potting on some other plants. But now let's get back to that hot poker and divide it up. Okay, so this is nice and moist at this stage. I'm taking it out of the water, and the first thing I'm going to do now is cut off all of the top growth. Now this might seem very brutal, but I'm about to divide this plant into small pieces, and I want it to concentrate on growing roots rather than flowers and leaves. So by cutting it back like this, I give it the best possible chance of recovery. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is take the plant out of the pot. Here we go. And as you can see, there are lots and lots of fleshy roots. Now I'm very pleased with that. This means it's, you know, quite a vigorous clump, and it should respond well to the treatment that I'm giving it. So I'm just knocking off some of the earth, and what I'm going to do ideally is try and break it into clumps where it wants to divide naturally. Now, because this is a South African plant with these really mad roots, there may be some breaking of roots that has to take place, but hopefully the plant will be able to regenerate itself quickly enough. Now I can tell straight away I'm not going to be able to divide this, so I'm going to need to get a saw. Let's put that down here and get a saw. And here we have a horticultural saw, but you can use a bread knife or whatever comes handy. Now I'm going to first cut this thing right down the middle like this. Now, let's stop here and see how I can divide it. I wanted to follow the natural divisions in the kind of little rosettes, but my wanting isn't necessarily going to get. I think I'm just going to have to cut this. Kind of pushing the saw down between the natural divisions, and in we go. Now, I think that this kind of mistreatment of the roots is going to be very good, because it's going to prompt the plant to regenerate new roots. Okay, so this is quite a big clump here. I'm going to divide it down there, down the middle. I will start here, I guess. Okay, so that, and that. Now I think what I'll try and do is divide this one again in two pieces. I need to take some of the root, perhaps not. This one has a lot of root but not so much top growth. I wonder, will I try and divide it here? Sure, we'll try and see what happens. Okay. Okay, right. So we've got 4 divisions now. That has actually been damaged a bit. It's attached by one root. So we'll see what will happen with that, but there is still that bit, so we'll pot that up. Okay, so I'm going to get 4 plants out of this. So next thing I need to do is get some nice pots to put them in, and I think maybe if I just remove some of the lower parts of the roots, it should prompt it to regenerate new stuff. That. A lot of these South African plants, such as Agapanthus, they have very fleshy roots that knot up, and there's nothing you can do except really just take a knife to them. Okay, so this is the pot I plan on putting it in. I'm wondering if that's deep enough. I think I'm going to take off a bit more. I think I'm going to get a deeper pot. Just bear with me a moment. And here I am back again with long pots. Now I'm going to pot these bits up. I've made up a mix here which has about 1/4 sand in it, and that's just going to help with drainage. This is the bit that broke off. It's got a little bit of a root, so we'll just stick it in there and see, but I'm not hopeful for that. Now whatever you do, don't use pots that are too big. Things in pots that are too big generally don't do well, and we tend to get the watering wrong with them. And just firm it in. And here we are. I got 4 divisions from that plant and time to water them in, and I'm just reusing the water that I soaked these plants with earlier. And then what you need to do is put them in a shaded position and make sure that they're really well watered until they start to grow. And that really is imperative, especially in a summer like this where there's so much drought about. If you let these dry out, then you will lose them. And that was my video on dividing a perennial plant because I wanted lots of them in the border. I hope you found it useful, and I hope the next time you go to a garden centre to buy a perennial, you'll keep an eye out for the biggest plant, not the one with the most flowers. That's all for now. Bye.